Most businesses don't have a sales activity problem. They have a sales execution problem. And asking people to make more calls, send more emails, and complete more tasks just won't solve it. When I think about sales execution, I don't just think about the number of calls someone makes or, the number of leads that they want to add to their pipeline. I think about the person actually doing the job. Do they have the right approach? Do they understand the strategy? And do they possess the drive to get up every morning and continue executing it even when the results aren't immediate? I've worked in strategic business development and business development for more than 30 years. And I know, obviously, I look very, very young for it. However, during that time, I've worked with some excellent people and some really unfortunately, that weren't quite good. When you've worked in business development for that long, you learn how to read people very, very quickly. And many people believe that they can move into business development and just literally switch it on. And businesses often make the same mistake. They think they can hire someone who's inexperienced, send them out to find customers, expecting them to miraculously produce new business. But business development doesn't work like that. There are generally two different types of people working in these roles. You have hunters and you have account handlers. Both can be extremely valuable, but they naturally lean towards different types of work. An account handler normally leans towards supporting existing customers, maintaining relationships and developing accounts that really they already have. And a hunter leans towards execution. They naturally look for, opportunities, create conversations and push a new business strategy forward. Neither person is better than the other. But the problem begins when an account handler is placed in a hunter's role and expects to generate new business every day. Yes, I've successfully managed accounts and generated new business at the same time. So those roles can be combined, but the person must still have that instinct to execute. Sales can be a lonely job. You can lose 10 strong prospects in 1 week. You can make calls that lead nowhere. You can send emails that receive no response and a follow-up strategy that appears to be producing just literally nothing. People who last are normally those who can return the following, morning and continue without really needing someone to actually push them along. From my experience, 3 qualities sit behind a successful sales execution. They are persistence, consistency, and patience. Now, persistence means continuing after rejection and disappointment. Consistency means executing the tasks contained within the strategy for a full period you've originally committed to. And patience, we know all about patience. Patience means allowing a strategy enough time to work before you actually go and change it. A business can create a strategy on a Monday, become disappointed, and by Friday, they replace it the following week. But if you consistently change direction, you'll never know whether that original strategy could have actually worked. And many successful salespeople and entrepreneurs will tell you this same thing, where they nearly stopped, and then a week or a month later, the strategy actually started producing results. And that is why I believe every strategy should have a clear execution period. Normally, I look at around 12 weeks, 3 months, but your time frame might be different. But if you need to decide it before really you begin and commit and then start seeing it through. I've always viewed a sales strategy as a roadmap. The road gives you a route towards that destination. So what happens is occasionally you might need to leave that road, grab a snack or put the odd fire out. But because you have a map, you know exactly which road you need to return to. And without that map, every distraction can send you into a completely different direction. But eventually you do see a crossroads. You stop, you look at the map, you examine the information you've collected during that journey. Then you don't automatically choose the shortest route. You choose the most likely route that's going to get you to your destination. That's what good sales execution looks like. It isn't blindly continuing forever, and it isn't changing direction every day or every week. It is following an agreed route for a long enough time to collect meaningful evidence, then using that evidence to select the next road or the next route. Before I built the systems I use today, I managed this process manually. I used Google Calendar and divided my strategy carefully into planned time blocks. And then I left approximately about 5 or 10 minutes between each task, giving me enough time to finish one activity and then reset and then move to the next. Then I would return to the schedule every day until I completed that 12-week process. Today, however, I use Prospexto and I use our direct mail growth engine to execute all my lead generation strategies. And the difference in time is substantial. Manually taking one prospect from qualification through to a complete execution plan previously took me roughly around about 15 minutes. But using Prospecto, I can now deeply qualify approximately 15 prospects and build their execution plans in around 15 to 20 minutes. I've also experienced a similar improvement with my direct mail. What previously took me approximately 4 hours can now really take me around about 30 minutes to produce between 15 and 20 qualified prospects with their letters and creative packs. That is how you improve sales execution without creating more noise or more work. You don't simply give the salesperson more calls to make or more meetings to attend or more systems to manage. You create a clear roadmap and give them the structure needed to execute efficiently. The object isn't to remove the work that matters. It is to remove the unnecessary manual workload surrounding it. Better sales executions comes from having the right person following the right roadmap, using the right systems, which make consistent execution so much easier. Then what you do is you return every day with persistence and consistency and be patient. Because success in business development rarely comes from doing everything. It comes from repeatedly executing the right things for the long enough time to make them work. So, I wish you all the best. I hope you have a great day. Take care.